Hit by Google core updates and never recovered. In this video, I'll give you my take on this recent Reddit post that I've discovered that on this local service business where they have lost pretty much all of their organic traffic over the past few years, I guess, after they got hit by the Google core update. So without further ado, let's get started. Hi guys, this is Jackie from TechJackie.com, and in this video, I'll give you my take on this recent Google core update recovery where a business owner posted on a Reddit thread here, which quite got interesting. And I've been reading about this, and in this video, I'll give you my take on how to potentially recover from his website. Now, I don't have access to his domain or anything. It was posted as a public thread here, and there are many more comments, pretty good ones too. You can go and read it out, a little link in the description. So for those of you who don't know, I've been doing SEO for the past 7 years or so. And if you check out my website, I have a lot of case studies on it. You can go and read them up. And I've recovered many of the websites along the way as well by that got hit by many Google core updates. So just to give you a summary of what this pose is, so essentially it's an established website with about 12 years in business, and basically they got hit by core updates basic in around 2025. And just to give you the background here, they are just more or less normal local service-based business, 12 years domain name. They have good business profile reviews, and they actually have been ranking for years before they lost all of this. And now they essentially say that they used to rank in the top three or top five for many of their service keywords, and now they're pretty much nowhere to be found. And they even took steps to try recover themselves. So they did things like clean up, duplicated content, thin content pages, location pages, all that. They redo their websites, they rewrote their content, they, clean up their backlinks. They say quote unquote spammy or unnatural looking type of links. They continue to make sure to obtain legitimate reviews for their profiles, etc., etc. But so far nothing has happened. It's been like more than 6 months essentially, and still, as you can see from the graph right here, the website has been completely obliterated. So what's my take on this? I don't have access to the domains, but here's what I'm gonna tell you when it comes to local SEO, pretty much SEO in general, when it comes to any type of update, recovery here. First of all, yes, you would want to try to give your full, effort of trying to clean up all the things that you think are pretty much, done essentially in a more or less manipulative ways. Now, when it comes to SEO, you have to essentially they're like basically if you think of it like this. So let's say there's this line right here. So this is let's say you have this is where essentially you have basically never optimized for anything. So this is very light SEO optimization or no optimization at all. Then this is the line where essentially you are very optimized, very into SEO. So nowadays, when you do SEO, you kind of have to find a middle ground or a sweet spot when it comes to any kind of optimization. Because if you optimize too less or don't do any optimization, you're not gonna rank well. And if you optimize too much, then you're gonna go into over optimizations. Now, when it comes to over optimizations, there are many areas that Google can look at. And it doesn't even matter what type of business you are, whether it's local, e-commerce, affiliate, etc. Generally speaking, Google looks at various factors around your website. So they don't just look at let's say this is your on page, right? They don't just look at your keyword stuffing here and there. They look at your keyword overall keywords. They look at the anchor text pointing to your web page. They look at your overall web pages on the website as well. They look at a variety of things, and then they try to decide whether you have done too much SEO on it or not, right? However, there are more or less like two main ways that people can really go over optimize their site. One is via backlinks. So if let's say you build a lot of keyword anchor text type backlinks, that is something very easy for people to trip over. Or let's say having keywords too much on the page. Now, having keywords too much on the page, it doesn't mean that, overly stuffing anymore. Now, even if let's say you think you have done light optimization, sometimes you could even be still over optimized on your page as well. So what is the threshold on that? Well, there's really no threshold. There's nothing much you can do, but the best, I would say, recommendation I could give you is after you finish writing your content, try reading it out loud and try to hear yourself and see whether it does sound a little bit too much or not. That is probably the best recommendation I can give you when it comes to trying to identify over optimization when it comes to your content. Now, in backlinks, yes, you would try to avoid any kind of anchor text, keyword-rich anchor text, but it's also not just about anchor text. Google also looks at the quality of your backlinks, the naturalness of your backlink as well. So if you're getting links from, overly, unnatural type looking of backlinks, for example, websites or guest posts that, looks very obvious that it is more or less like a paid links, right? Something like that, then those links will also be detected by Google and they will not really penalize you, but they'll just make those links useless. So what I'm thinking about in this uh, for this business right here is first, obviously, some of the mistakes that they have done, like for example, they have many duplicated type location pages. Yes, you can use duplicated content. You can make small changes in between, and then you can use them to rank. However, it can be a problem if it's too much, right? So if let's say they have a lot of these pages, then obviously it could trip over the optimization threshold. Uh, Unique content, well, I wouldn't say unique content is that important when it comes to local SEO, because when it comes to local SEO, generally speaking, um, Google don't really care much about your content. This is just based on my experience. They don't care much about how comprehensive you are as well. When it comes to local SEO, what Google really look at is whether you have enough information relevant to users or not. So if you think about it, like for any local service-based business, what are some of the important things that users are looking for? They want to know who you are. They want to know how long you've been in the business. They want to know different service you provide, and they want to know mainly how much you cost in general, right? And that's pretty much it. And maybe some of the awards or something like that that you have. You don't really have to write a lot to really rank when it comes to local SEO. Um, Based on my experience, especially with local SEO and e-commerce SEO, Google really cares about your reputation because for any business or like e-commerce, for example, something like that, trust is a very important metric. So basically, your branding is something which Google heavily looks at. They will really want to know if you're really trusted, if you are, well known in the space, etc., etc. Now, I don't know about these situations, the situation of this business. They have been in the business over 12 years, so I would assume that they do have some strong branding presence. However, who knows, maybe their overall user engagement might be off. Like they might have good, traffic and stuff going on to their website. They might have good branding, but if users don't really positively interact well with their content, simply because maybe, their content is pretty much like garbage or, they, I don't know, maybe their price is too expensive. I don't know. Like it could be a whole lot of reasons. We don't know that. Well, even with that, it could also negatively affect their website as well. So, um, content wise, I wouldn't be worried too much unless you have a lot of duplicated type content and all that. And backlink, they mentioned about cleaning up spammy or unnatural type of backlinks. Now we don't know to what extent they have done that, so I would still want to look into their backlink profile as well to kind of investigate more into this. And here's an important thing that we mentioned that some of the competitors appear to have fewer reviews, weaker looking websites, less detailed service content, less established branding. Pages appear thinner or less helpful, but still appear to rank better. Well, if you look at any local SEO websites that do rank well, you won't really find sites that have a lot of backlinks. So you won't really find sites that have a lot of content too. When it comes to local SEO, e-commerce SEO, more specifically, these two type of websites, like I said, Google don't really care much about the content. They care much about your overall branding and essentially, more or less your off-page factors. I would say that. So when it comes to ranking this type of website, you would try when it comes to the best way or the best spot to optimize your site is number one, yes, you would want to have proper content on your website to show to users who you are, what you do, what are the services you offer, etc., etc. But you don't have to go much beyond. You don't have to go very detailed into your service and try to optimize it too much because it's not gonna be worth it. Secondly, don't really care much about blog article and stuff like that. Just go very narrow, very specific with your service, etc., etc. Third, you would want to also be having strong brand presence and have good user engagement. Very important. You want to make sure that you have good reputation throughout. If you want to show your cost, sometimes you might have to lower down your cost just so to get more user engagement, just so you get more customers and people can recommend you and all that. Which is sadly is something which really matters because obviously if your competitors are giving cheaper price, then people would try to go to them and they would maybe engage more or something like that. And lastly, your backlinks don't really need to build a lot of links when it comes to these type of website. Like I said, Google heavily favors the brand reputations, so you can just you would just need a few links, like cite some good citations, some good local relevant links, a few guest posts here and there. That's all pretty much it. And obviously, watch out for user engagement. Try to track what users are doing on your website, etc., etc. And in that way, you'll be able to rank your local website much better. Now, for this website, if they were to really recover from this, what should they be doing? Well, first of all, I would double down on branding, right? So I would try to build more brand presence. And also, obviously, that they said that they have, rewrote their content and everything. I would also try to track that, try to see how people engage with their content, build more social engagement, do more YouTube video, for example, et cetera, run some ads just to kind of get as many user engagement as possible and also make sure that they, react positively to their site. Secondly, I would want to double check the backlinks again and try to see if really they have worked on their backlinks or not. And let's say, even when it comes to backlinks, right? If Google detected that they have used all these unnatural backlinks, so these links that used to maybe help them with their rankings have now been rendered useless or not working, I would try to build a little bit of new more links to support that. Because if you have a lot of links before and they might be helping you and now they're not, and now you face the traffic drop, it could really mean no, your backlinks have become more or less useless. So what you want to do is you want to build some more new fresh links from trusted website, like some good press release, some good local links, just to kind of just to kind of add more signals back to the site that was lost from these links, right? And then yeah, possibly also maybe run some viral traffic in between here and there just to kind of give some positive signals to the website. So one of my viral traffic here is sending a lot of traffic, significant amount of traffic to in a short amount of time to a website continuously. So by having a lot of traffic going to your website continuously, consistently to different pages, that tells to Google that your website is highly sorted, and people likes to visit your site here and there, etc., etc. So if you're looking for some kind of viral traffic service, you can check out my viral traffic service right here. And this service has been designed to boost your ranking within 24 hours or less. So in 24 hours or less, if you send this type of traffic to your keywords, it will basically just jump up. I have a case study right here, video showing how it works. You can read more about it, starting from just $20 per URL per time. But for this case, for when it comes to website recovery and all that, I would recommend you use it more or less at least for every month or so, or maybe every 10 days or so, or something like that, just to be consistent. One or two times will not work. There are different use case of such service. You can read out on my webpage, highlighting out different ways you can use this type of service. But that's pretty much it. I guess that's all it needs for this website. Now, lastly, here's the thing though, here's the sad truth that is sometimes no matter what you do, because the website has been around for over 12 years, there have been a lot of history before that. There might be a chance of actually no recovery at all for this site. So if that's the last thing that you can that if there's any last thing that you can do, is definitely going to be switch to a new domain without redirecting. So that's unfortunately sometimes we have to do that, but that is often the last thing that we would do. First, like I said, ramp up branding, try to get as many traffic as possible, do some ads, do some YouTube, etc., and also watch out for user engagement. Secondly, recheck their backlinks, see whether they have really removed all the spammy or naturally backlinks, and also build some proper type of links to replace the lost signals. Third, again, with the content, not important, but I would try to again double down and really check to see, if they have all the important things when it comes to stuff that users really need when it comes to their content and stuff like that. But yeah, again, I don't have access to the domain. I don't know what it is, so we don't know to what. Even if let's say users, this particular business owner have put in effort in trying to clean this up, have they really cleaned the right thing, or there are still some things that are left that needed to be worked on? But that's how it is. When it comes to SEO, you just have to try to find the right spot there. Um, that's why I know when it comes to local and e-commerce, especially, we don't really see a lot of heavily optimized site ranking. Those that really heavily optimize their website usually get stuck on page two, page three, or over time they get hit by such updates. So in this scenario, I would say that they have probably over optimized some things on their site here or there. And over time, maybe with some reduction in their overall engagement and branding and all that, that could also starting to make all of the bad things start popping up and make becoming more obvious, and then they basically just got hit. Right, so that's pretty much my take on this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below and try to answer them as soon as possible. If you have any website that you want me to do some quick audit on and maybe make it more like a public video or something like this, just share the website with me as well. Or maybe if you want any feedback on just simply your website, just let me know as well. So that's all for it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.